Baseball is back, guys. The Houston Astros 2022 season is going to be underway on Thursday against the Los Angeles Angels at around 8 o'clock. It's going to be an amazing 2022 season for our Houston Astros, celebrating the 60-year anniversary. After the lockout, the season just didn't seem like it would ever start. But now we have baseball in April, and that's just an amazing feeling. And even without the players that we're missing, there are high expectations for this team to compete for a World Series once again after coming up 2 games short in 2021. That 2021 season last year was obviously great. Another AL West title with 95 wins, and winning the 2021 ALCS in 6 games over the Red Sox. Yordan Alvarez was MVP last year. It was an amazing season. Very proud of that team. Reaching the World Series, coming up short, yes, but getting that pennant. A lot of great memories from that previous season. Altuve, obviously showing why he owns the Yankees. We know that. Growth of Kyle Tucker, Ryan Presley as an all-star. Of course, Carlos Correa doing what he does. A lot of games to remember last season, but 2022, here we come. This team does look a lot different than it was last year, but I think with some better pitching and some maybe improvements on offense with certain players, I think the Astros definitely do have a good chance to win the 2022 World Series. I don't really see flat out outright who could win the American League other than the Astros. Notably the White Sox have some elite pitching, the Tampa Bay Rays, but the division is also a little bit better. You have the Mariners improving slightly, the Angels getting healthier. But honestly, the Astros should run away with the AL West. That's the expectation. It's their division to win at this point for the 5th time in 6 years. And, at the end of the day, the Astros are going to make the playoffs, whether anybody likes it or not. And it's honestly in the playoffs, the regular season, they'll be fine. That's just how it is. It's just a matter of, a few big hits here and there, timely hits in the postseason. And, as long as the starting pitching doesn't kill themselves, the Houston Astros should be able to, rock in the postseason and be able to win the World Series. That's how good this team is, even with whoever they lost. And let's take a look at that list here, who the Astros lost, and they added, obviously, the big one is losing shortstop, All-Star, Platinum Glove winner, best defensive shortstop in baseball, Carlos Correa. Zach Greinke, pitcher, signed with the Kansas City Royals. I wish him the best. Lost 8th inning bullpen pitcher Kendall Graveman. Lost utility man Marvin Gonzalez, and of course lost pitcher Brooks Raley. But the Astros added pitcher Hector Near, shortstop utility man Nico Goodrum, and of course re-signed Justin Verlander. And as well a couple of more bullpen guys coming back this year, like Pedro Baez, etc. But that's really the list here. And obviously Carlos Correa, him leaving, that's obviously the big news, over the last few weeks for the Astros. Obviously, it really hurts losing a guy like Carlos Correa, Platinum Glove winner, All-Star, just an unbelievably clutch player in the postseason, just an undeniable leader of this team when they needed it the most. Yes, it hurts to lose him, one of the greatest postseason performers ever at the age of 27. He got signed by the Twins. He joined the Twins on a 3-year, $105.3 million deal. Really had to do with the opt-outs. The Astros didn't want to deal with, Carlos opting out after 1 year. They were like, either sign with us for the entire time or we're not going to sign you. And that's exactly what happened. Carlos basically, with an opt-out after this year, just a tryout year, as he's hopefully for himself, betting on himself, and he wants to try free agency again next year. Obviously, it hurts this team big time. Obviously, my guy Jose and them, those two, obviously it really bothers this team. You're gonna have to make it up on offense somehow. You're gonna have to make up that gap defensively as well. But I think area where the Astros have improved is pitching, and that's notably Justin Verlander, 39 years old. Still savvy vet, still coming in. He signed a 2-year, $66 million deal in 2019, but didn't pitch due to injury and Tommy John in 2020. And he re-signed with the Astros on a 2-year, $50 million deal. I think he looked great in spring training. Gave up only 2 earned runs. His stuff looked good. He was getting up in 95 miles an hour in velo on that fastball. 2-0 in 4 starts, struck out 15, allowed 11 hits, 2 runs, 4 walks, and 13 2/3 inning pitched with a 1.32 ERA. Thought it was a good move by Dusty Baker to give JV some time, and Justin's going to be starting Saturday in Anaheim. I think he can get back to his Cy Young form and be the ace on this staff. I think it's very important that he can be elite on this team. You're going to need Justin Verlander to get back somewhat close to where he was in 2019. I don't know, how many innings he's going to be pitching this season, maybe around 120, 130, much less than, typical 180 type inning, going to take it easy in the beginning. But I think, he's got it, he has his stuff. I think he can really be good again this year, even coming back from this injury. And then the replacement for Carlos Correa, the 24-year-old shortstop from the Dominican Republic, Jeremy Pena, brought up from the minors last season, played for AAA Sugarland last season. He was drafted in the 3rd round in 2018. In his minor league career, Jeremy Pena has hit .291 with 18 homers, 85 RBIs, and an .814 OPS. And during spring training, where Astros fans like me were really impressed with what we saw from Pena. Hit .350 and 20 at-bats in spring training. Super excited to see him play. Definitely has tremendous potential as a shortstop of this team. Definitely has a lot of talent, and I do see him being a star on this team, in the future especially. You need to be patient with Jeremy Pena, as every Astros fan needs to do. Honestly, you're not going to get the production like Carlos Correa will get you, this season probably. I still think he could be really good for this team, really good hitter, really powerful, really fast guy. I think in the future he could be as good as Correa, But I think he's a guy who could start his major league career with a bang, something like that Jose Siri or Jake Myers did early on as well. And then Dusty Baker, he's back with the team, re-signed, retained, ready to go, trying to win a World Series for this team again. Great to have Dusty back. Players I've talked to like Lance and Alex, they just love Dusty Baker. And then, let's go one by one with the players. Of course, Jose Altuve, the great man. He had a good year last year, but, I feel like he can be even better this year. 23 postseason homers, second all-time, one of the greatest postseason performers of all time. He was great this season with 31 homers, 83 RBIs, 117 runs scored, with a 278 batting average. That's, I think Jose can be even better than that, coming up next this year. I think he'll be great opening the lineup. Hopefully he'll be in the leadoff position. And Jordan Alvarez, the MVP of the ALCS at 24 years old. The crazy thing is I think Jordan Alvarez can have an even better season than he did last year, because I don't think we've seen the best from Air Jordan yet. The big thing is Astros not named Carlos Correa, former Astro Carlos Correa. Guys not named Carlos, specifically him. They have to step up. He has to be better in his plate discipline. Last year he was amazing, led the team with 33 homers, 104 RBIs, 277 batting average. I think Jordan can be even better, which is really scary. Same thing with Kyle Tucker. Arguably, I think he might have been the runner-up for MVP last season behind Carlos Correa. Just so consistent batting and production from him. I think Kyle Tucker can be even better than he did. I think a dark horse MVP candidate is something you would expect from Kyle Tucker. I think you're getting Springer-like production from him in right field. A really good right fielder too. Don't sleep on that as well. He had team-leading 15 RBIs in the playoffs. I think he was a really, really consistent hitter, big time with runners in scoring position. And then Alex Rickman, I talked to Alex last week. He said he's feeling really great, like he did early on in his career, more spring in his step that he did in the last 2 years. He did some, different stuff in spring training, even though it was short. And I think, he's feeling good and ready to go. And I hope to see the best out of Breggs this year. went through off-season wrist surgery, said he felt really good after that, really made a difference for him. I think we're going to see the Alex Bregman, that we've been seeing. I think we're going to be seeing him this year. I think he's got it back. MVP, we want to see that MVP form from him. I think Alex is going to be back and better than ever. That's what I hope, and I do think that, and I believe in that as well. And of course, Michael Brandley, what can you say about him? Just so consistent. He's back for another year. I think this is his last year of his contract with Houston, but it's just such a consistent bat that you're getting from him. Just finds a way to hit around 300, hit 311, even with his knee injuries, big in the postseason, really clutch when needed. And, make use of Michael Brantley's, year here. I think he needs to step up and maybe become more of a leader in the locker room. I think that's what Jose Altuve needs to do as well. The best player on the best team, that's what Jose Altuve is. And I think Jose Altuve needs to do that, maybe step up a little bit as a leader, because that's what Carlos Correa did so well for this team. And then Yuli Gurriel, another veteran batting champion, 319 average last season, 15 homers, 81 RBIs. Yuli, in the spring training, he's been outstanding, man. He hit a grand slam, couple of homers. He's going to be even better. He's looking fit. He's looking much healthier. And I think he's going to be even better. I think all these guys that were great, like Jordan Tucker, Yuli, I think they're going to be even better this season, because in general, that whole lineup just sucked during the World Series. That's just generally how it was. And then Martine, Machete, Maldonado, he's back. He's not the best hitter. He's going to be hitting in the 9-hole like he always does. But, defensively, he really is such a great catcher. I think he's really great to develop. Great to have him develop some of our younger pitchers. We do have Jason Castro as well. If we do, we need some pinch hitting later on. And then center field, that's like a big story for the Astros. I think personally, it should be Jose Siri. I think it's a battle right now between him and Chaz McCormick. Pedro Leon currently is playing for the Sugarland Space Cowboys. But, Jake Myers would be starting. He's great, but unfortunately he's still injured with that shoulder. I think it should be Jose Siri. He just brings something electric to this team. It has a swag to him, brings heat. He's a good, strong hitter, faster on the bases. I just like what I see from Jose Siri. And then, of course, utility men. Don't forget about Aledmys Diaz. Really great utility man for this team. Super versatile. Can play first base, second base, third base, shortstop, left field. Such a great swing. It's a luxury to have a quality batter like Aledmys Diaz in the dugout. This Astros batting lineup, even without Carlos Correa, they are loaded. 1 through 6, it is packed. It's still one of the better batting lineups in baseball. So, Aledmys Diaz, great swing, hit 259 with 8 homers, had 45 RBIs and 294 at-bats. Just hope he stays healthy. That's really the thing with Aledmys Diaz. And I think he could be key in the beginning of the season, because Dusty said that, he's not going to be playing that many starters in the beginning. And now let's talk about the pitching. Lance McCullers Jr., Lance, I talked to Lance in my interview. Go check that out. That was big here in Houston. I was the first guy that he told that, his injury was much worse than we thought, and that he won't be ready for opening day, and that he was behind on his forearm recovery, which was much worse than we thought. I think it's going to be fine for the first few months without Lance. We have Framber Valdez, Jake Odorizzi, Justin Verlander, Jose Urquidy, and, you have a lot of starters, Luis Garcia as well, Christian Javier if needed. So they have plenty of guys, and I think Lance should be great when he comes back from his rehab. No TJ is required for Lance. And then Framber Valdez, he's the opening day starter for this team now. It's a big moment for him tomorrow, going head-to-head against Shohei Ohtani, who's going to be on the mound for the Los Angeles Angels. Really not sure what to expect out of Framber in his first game. Besides this first game, I think he'll be fine. He just needs to be focused and throwing strikes, using his curveball when needed. Because the thing is, under the big bright lights, I feel like Framber Valdez has kind of struggled. He did struggle big time with the crowd last year, especially, he just had one great game, Game 5 of the ALCS. But besides that, he really struggled pretty much for the entire postseason. Had a 7.78 ERA during the postseason in 19 and 2/3 of an innings. So, he hasn't been too great in these kind of moments. Let's see how he does tomorrow. And then Luis Garcia, I think the 25-year-old from Venezuela, he was great last season. Obviously, pitched the most that he's ever had in his young career. His home and away splits were really big. He had a 2.74 ERA at home compared to a 4.24 ERA on the road. But he's still very young. I think he's going to be even better this year. That's the thing. You have a lot of guys who are going to be developing and being even better than they were before. So, he had a really good off-speed stuff. His velocity should be higher. I can't wait to see what Luis does this year. And then Jose Urquidy, he's such a great pitcher for this team. He's still young. I feel like he's a little bit underrated. He was great. In the postseason, he's 3-0 in the World Series. He was 8-3 last season with 3.62 ERA. And he's 4th in the rotation this year. I would have liked to see him second instead of Odorizzi, because I'm just a big fan of Jose Urquidy. And then speaking of Jake Odorizzi, here he is, the 32-year-old. Really strange year last year. He joined the team late, had injuries. He signed a 3-year, $23 million deal last season, and he was just not really good. 6-7 record with a 4.21 ERA and 104 innings. He played well in the postseason. I think he wasn't that bad. And hopefully we can get a healthy Jake Odorizzi this season. I think he's very crucial for this team as an experienced pitcher who can guide some of the youngsters. So we really need him there. And let's talk about the bullpen. First of all, Ryan Presley, one of the best closers in baseball at a .93 ERA in 9 games in the postseason. He just recently signed a 2-year extension for $32 million. Great deal, much needed for him. I think he's going to be great in the 9th inning for us again. Ryan Stanek, I think he's going to be in the 8th inning for us this year because Kendall Graveman is gone. He had a 1.8 ERA, a 2.45 ERA in the postseason. Just was really great. I think he stepped up big time and, very high velocity guy. Just overall last year, the bullpen really stepped up in the playoffs. And then, Christian Javier, he's big, I think, in the bullpen. I think it's going to be crucial to have him there as a long reliever in the bullpen. He could be a starter, really optional, but I think he is better in the bullpen right now. The strikeout machine, 19 strikeouts in 10 innings in the postseason. Without Graveman, it's going to be great to have him in the bullpen. And then Phil Maton, what do you say about him? A cold-blooded assassin, comes through when you need him the most in the big innings. I think he's become one of our most high-leverage relievers. An amazing breaking ball. Had a .73 ERA in the postseason. And he should be back doing the 7th innings this year as well. A couple of other arms in the bullpen. You have Noli Paradis. He's going to be back for the Astros. Fan favorite. He really struggled with command last year. Has some really electric stuff. I'm sure he's worked on some stuff. As long as he gets that command ready, he's going to be great. And I really want him in that bullpen. Blake Taylor, the lefty, 26-year-old, good guy to have back. Very solid, generally gives you some good outings, 3.16 ERA last season. Pedro Baez, I think, is somebody that I'm looking at right now. Big. I think that's big news for Pedro Baez because he's going to be back this year. But, his velocity has dropped big time. Not sure how effective he's going to be this season after coming. He didn't even play at all last season with injury. So, I'm not sure how good Pedro Baez is going to be. Brian Abreu, the 24-year-old righty, his velocity is super high. He did a lot of work in the minors last year, like really an electric fastball. I hope to see some development from him. I think he can be much better. He definitely did do great in spring training. And shout out to Rafael Montero, injured from the end of last year in that trade for Kendall Graveman. Saw some good stuff from him as well. And then lastly, let's talk about some of the new guys that we signed. Hector Near, first of all, the 32-year-old relief pitcher from the Dominican Republic. Previous 8 years with the Phillies, had a 3.63 ERA last season in 74 innings, and he was 12 out of 19 in save opportunities, 98 strikeouts, and 1.17 whip. I think he's a good signing to the bullpen, obviously needed after losing Graveman and Brooks Raley. I think he should be a good addition to this team in this setting. And then Nico Goodrum, another utility man, 30 years old, was with the Tigers last season, hit 214 with 33 RBIs and 290 at bats. I hope he can hit better over here, but he's another replacement to have. Good to have. And this is my current 2022 Houston Astros starting lineup. This is my lineup. I have Jose Altuve leading off, Michael Brandley coming up, Alex Bregman in his 3-hole, Yordan Alvarez hitting cleanup, Gurriel at 5, Tucker down at 6 because he can hit so good with runners in scoring position, Jose Siri, center fielder at the 7 spot. I have Jeremy Pena at 8, and Martine Maldonado hitting at the 9-hole. Dusty says he wants Jose to bat 2, but I just think Jose is better batting at leadoff. Obviously, he can hit leadoff homers. He's great at that. He's great at stealing. He's a fast runner. That's why I think he fits well at 1. The other guy you could do at 1 is Michael Brantley, but he's not as fast running the bases. You could move a guy like Kyle Tucker up there, but Tucker's so good with runners in scoring position, and you really want your best hitter getting the most at bats, and that's Jose Altuve. And basically my projection this season for the Astros, I have them winning around 95 games like they did last year. I think their better pitching is going to step up. I think it's the best record in the American League. And the expectation for the Astros is to reach a World Series, and I do believe they can reach the World Series again like I predicted correctly last year. It's just a matter of a few things coming together, and they should be able to win it. That's just how good this team is, even without Correa. Their batting lineup 1 through 6 is really solid. Lots of young talent. A lot of great young pitchers. I think this pitching staff really is going to prove people wrong. I think a lot of people are sleeping on this pitching staff that the Houston Astros have. It's really a good pitching rotation, good starting pitching, solid bullpen. I think, it's great. I do think it's a really great pitching. I think a lot of people are going to be realizing that this season to go along with, the stacked batting lineup 1 through 6. So I think the Astros are still in a good spot after everything. And go Astros, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, comment in the comment section what your prediction is for the Astros this season. I'll see you in the next one.